Well guys, this is the 7.3 Power Stroke for Cody that we rebuilt the engine in. He wants the transmission completely gone through too, but I wanted to start the engine. That's my goal right now. I want to make sure if I can get the engine, got good oil, if I get good oil pressure, all that kind of good stuff, and it runs, then I can put all the rest of this stuff together, and the only thing I'll have left to do is put the transmission back in it after I go through it. But the problem with that whole idea of starting it is the way that this 7.3 is. I'll show you right here. The transmission actually has the threaded holes for the starter. So you have a little cookie sheet. See this little plate here? I call it a cookie sheet that goes over the dowels on the back of the block. And then of course the transmission's going to bolt to the back of the block, but the threaded holes to mount the starter actually thread into the bell housing of the transmission. So I tried to do it this way, and I put nuts on these bolts here, but there's so much flex, and I had this cookie sheet bolted to the back of the block, but there's too much flex. I tried to engage the starter and it ground. It sounded horrible, and I thought, nope, let's not do that. We don't need to be turning up his ring gear. So I thought, well, you're going to be rebuilding the transmission, so let's go ahead and get the main case torn apart, and then we can use this half of the case. We'll throw this half of the case. As you can see, we got to blow these holes out. I had this thing nose down, and now those holes are full of floor sweep from there. But I'm going to blow these holes out, and we're going to put a couple bolts, bolt this to the back of the block, and then we'll thread the starter into these 3 holes, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, that's about the best view that I'm going to be able to give you here for this situation. I'm just going to kind of jerry-rig this on here for now. On this side, maybe. Come on. We're not. I don't understand why our dowels are not popping in. What the hell's going on here? I think that one started. Yeah. Oh, come on. Work with me here. Man. There we go. I just gotta get them buttoned up here. How we looking here? Looking good. All doweled up and everything. Okay, let me get an impact, tighten them up. Okay. I think 2 bolts will be good enough to get it to, just crank. Let's go ahead over here. Put the old starter bolts in. This should be 16. Might have to come over here to this other side to get it. Okay. Gear wrench can work on that. Not gonna happen on that one, but let me get it on this one here. What's the light at? Yeah, the 6-liter doesn't have threaded holes because they use that big, remember? On the 6.0 they got that big plate in between there and it's threaded. Different on the 7.3, so you can't take a ZF out of a 7.3 and put it in a 6-liter apparently. Bell housings are different. I thought they were the same, I just couldn't remember. You'd think I would know that, I've been through so many of these darn transmissions, but I don't know, you just can't remember everything, I guess. That end wrench is extremely long for what I'm doing. Probably would be better to have a socket, but we'll try to save ourselves from another trip to the toolbox and just go about it with the open end of the wrench here. See if it will crank. My hand's getting tired. I notice the older I get, the more my hands don't like being held over my head very long. Notice that. Something that I noticed here a minute ago too, and I'll show you. Once I get this bolt tightened up, I'm just going to leave the top one out for now. I'm going to be pulling it back off anyway, but come on, dude. I'm having a hell of a time here. Let's see if I can put this somewhere, preferably where a guy can. This light, I'm not very impressed with it. The magnet just isn't strong enough to support the light, you know? It's like, why have the son of a gun on there if it won't even support its own weight? Kind of useless. Kind of like a politician, kind of useless. A paid liar. Oh no, I'm sorry. The flashlight's not a paid liar. Useless though. Okay. One more little. Okay. This should be good enough to do a little test here. So, I think it's got oil in it. I don't know how much. I'll just read the dipstick. See what it says, huh? It needs more oil in it. Okay. I have some right here. Some good old Rotella 15W40. It needs at least probably a few quarts. Let that go down there into the pan. It's going to take a little while for gravity to take a hold. But I see the O-ring sticking out on that dipstick fill tube, and that will have to be fixed. I saw another plug these guys took out of the block. It's a coolant plug there that's out. That before we pour coolant in, we know that's going to leak. We're a little ways from that point here on this situation, so really, my renter must have came out of his house because Josie decided to go ape shit. Go show him who's boss. I think a little bit more because it's going to go down anyway. Once we start running here and get everything primed up, because remember, this is a Huey engine. It's going to take, got to fill the oil rails up in the head. Got to fill the high pressure oil reservoir up. I'm just going to pour the whole thing in there. And I got a feeling we're still going to be short a little bit of oil, but I have some more. And let's see. God hates a coward, huh? See what kind of traction we get here. Hopefully we have a good even crank with no weird noises. I'm just gonna put a scan tool on it too to see oil pressure. I might do that as well. Of course, the good old glow plugs are going to cycle. Okay, she's cranking. Cranking really good, actually. It's kind of noisy because there's no transmission behind that bell housing. So let's get a scanner on it and look at oil pressure and high IPR duty cycle and all those things that really make things run here. And I'm trying to remember what I did with my scan tool. So I took my scan tool and put it in my green pickup. So what we'll do is we'll crank on it for a while. It's gonna take a lot of cranking because it's a Huey engine, but we'll watch this pressure gauge here and see if it eventually starts moving. Okay, let it cool down. So I noticed I had oil, clean engine oil running out on the ground here. So here's another plug that I didn't know they took out. And keep in mind, I bitch about this all the time with machine shops, but most of the time, most machine shops will throw all the plugs that they remove into a Ziploc bag or some kind of receptacle, so at least you have a count to know what kind of plug they pulled out. You may not have a where, but at least you've got a count and some kind of idea where to start looking and how many you need. They did not do that on this one, so I had no idea. This is one of them that I missed, obviously. They had this one out here, just in the main gallery, one on the back as well. So we got those in. And we'll try it again. Okay, well, see if we have any more oil squirting out everywhere. I'm gonna put that on 40 amps, that way it spins over fast. Okay. Okay, so yet to see the needle move. And we have more oil pouring out on the ground. What else did they leave out? Now we must find out what else they've left out. We have things leaking back here as well. So what else did these guys take out of the block that I didn't know about? I keep just finding them all the time. What the hell? It would be squirting back in the hole back in there. That is very interesting. I'm not even certain what would be leaking back there. What the hell would be pouring out back there? I don't understand that one bit at all. I can't even tell. What the hell is the deal with that? The plug right here was out. One behind the bracket for the motor mount, so I had to pull the oil cooler back out, lift the engine up, pull the motor mount back out, put a plug back there, and we finally got oil to quit squirting everywhere. So here we go again. See if we can get the oil pressure gauge to move. Okay, let's start her cool down for a little while. That's a good sign that that oil pressure gauge moved. Well, we've let her set for about another 5 minutes. Let her start her cool down. Let's try it again. Remember, it's a high pressure oil system. You've got to get everything primed up. And when you see that needle move, that's very encouraging. There it is. I was just about ready to let off of her. Gonna stutter a little bit because there's air in the oil system on it. Needle staying good on the oil pressure gauge. Okay, we'll let her sit for a little while and we'll try it again, guys. But I am happy it runs and it's not knocking or banging. So let's check our oil on it. That's what we're after. We want her to run. My runner was in here and he goes, "Man, you don't seem to get mad about all these plugs being out." He said, "I'd lose my shit." I said, "No, I've learned it just doesn't do any good to get pissed off." Man, I'm getting to where I can't see a shitting thing, you know what? Up close. She's right up there at the top. Let's see, she's right there, which would correspond to, golly, hang on a second, guys. Let me stick this thing again. Hang on a second. I'll stick it again and we'll come back. Here. Okay, I'm getting right there. She's a touch overfull, maybe half a quart, which I'm not worried about that one bit at all. Having a little bit too much is better than not having enough. But I'm liking that. Get good oil pressure there. I need to put a gauge on it. So what I'm gonna do, back here on the oil cooler, I'm gonna pull this 1/8 inch plug out of here. There's a little 1/8 inch pipe plug right there. I'm gonna pull that out and I'm gonna stick a gauge in there and just verify my oil pressure and see what it is. But I'm gonna start it one more time without doing that. I know it's got oil pressure. It's one thing about a 7.3 Power Stroke, it's a Huey engine. So if you didn't have oil pressure, it wouldn't run. So I'm pretty certain it's got pretty good oil pressure, but we'll verify it with a gauge. Probably won't show that because to be honest with you guys, I've done these enough that I just know when they're right, when they're not. Remember, it's a high pressure oil system. So it's got air in it. It's gonna have, until you get the air purged out of the system, the only way to get it out is drive it. Thing sounds really good. Alright folks, well, I just thought I would make a short video of the 7.3 running. I'll clean this off. She's a runner. We got all the plugs in it in the oil gallery. I got to look on the block here, and I already saw a couple that I just don't know, I had my head up my ass, I guess. I didn't see there's a couple. There's one over here on the water port and one over here that they didn't put in. So I'll get some plugs and put those in, and I'll do that before I put all this. Now, what I'm going to do now for today, I'm going to put everything on the engine together, put the front clip back in it, all that good stuff, put the radiator, everything on the front back, and the only thing I'll be doing now is disassembling this main box on this transmission and see what all I need to order for parts and get them coming. And I don't know if people want me to video that or not. Maybe I'll just video it and I'll have it sitting there. I've done these before on video, but I'll put it out there. Well, alright guys, so that's pretty much the gist of this video here. I just wanted to show you the startup on this 7.3 Power Stroke. I'm debating on whether I should make a separate video on rebuilding this ZF 6-speed. I've made videos on these before. I don't know if it's worth doing again or not. Maybe I'll get a feel for that this evening when I make this video on the comment section. But really, I mean, it's pretty straightforward on these. You basically, this is your input shaft here, and you've got some tapered roller bearings on there that you'll have to get off with some knife edge bearing spreaders and pullers. And this is all held into the center section of the case, your shift fork assembly and everything. But about the hardest part, I would say, probably to do on these is there's some roller type needle bearings somewhere where the gears, I'm trying to remember, they're back here on this end that you have to get off, and they're kind of a pain to get off. And other than that, these really aren't very hard to do. Cody didn't tell me if there was any issues as if it was grinding or popping out of gear, but most of the time what goes wrong, the blocking rings for the synchros, which would be these. These are what they call blocking rings. And these blocking rings will get worn down, and then guys won't ever address the issue before. So what they do is they just keep driving it with it grinding, and pretty soon what they do is all these teeth right here on the actual gear, because this is part of the gear, this will actually round these teeth off, and then you'll have problems with it going in gear and staying in gear. But once these teeth get rounded off right here, it's done. I mean, it's not going to stay in gear. You're going to have to hold it in gear to drive it. So that's one thing with when you're doing these manual transmissions, look at your blocking rings and look at your teeth real close on your gears on each side to see if there's any wear on them. Anyway, guys, so that's the end of this video, but I'm going to keep going here. Now that I know that she runs, she's got good oil pressure. We're going to put all this together and have it ready to go. I'm actually going to drag it out of the shop because I got to get Josh's hay squeeze in here and get the engine out of it, the small cam 350, and get the ISC 8.3, and I got to get going on that. And then at the same time, I will be tearing this apart as well. I already got the bearing and synchro kit, and the bearing and synchro kit comes with all these blocking rings and all your bearings, and it comes with your detents. Now, ZF used freeze plugs, soft plugs on these, and you just got to drill them out and take a dent puller and thread in there and pop those soft plugs out, and then the new kit will come with it, and you just got to be careful because the spring and ball is underneath that, so they'll shoot out of there. So, alright, anyways, work.